Picture this all-too-familiar scenario. You are 22 years old, fresh out of college. You're making $40,000 a year, and life is a struggle. You're surviving on ramen, sharing Netflix passwords, and constantly telling yourself, man, if I could just make double this, $80,000, all my problems would vanish. I'd be rich. Fast forward 8 years. You did it. After late nights, promotions, and job hopping, your income has hit $100,000 a year. You are earning more than double what you started with. But here is the terrifying part. You check your bank account at the end of the month, and the number looks exactly the same as it did when you were 22. You aren't saving more. You aren't investing significantly. In fact, in terms of debt, you might be in a deeper hole now than when you were poor. How is this mathematically possible? How does $60,000 of extra income simply vanish into thin air? The answer isn't inflation, and it isn't taxes. It is a psychological flaw in the human brain known as Parkinson's law. Unless you fix this glitch today, it doesn't matter if you make $1 million a year, you will always end up broke. Below is a deep dive into this wealth-destroying mechanism and the specific roadmap to reverse it. 1. The nature of Parkinson's law in finance. Originally, Parkinson's law had nothing to do with money. In 1955, British historian Cyril Northcote Parkinson observed a paradox in the civil service. As bureaucracies hired more people, they didn't get more work done. Instead, they created more paperwork to keep each other busy. He coined the famous phrase, "Work expands to fill the time available for its completion." Think about it. If your boss gives you 2 weeks to write a report, it will take you 2 weeks, including procrastination, stress, and editing. If they give you 2 hours, you will finish it in 2 hours. The danger lies in how perfectly this law applies to your wallet. Expenses expand to meet income available. This is the Parkinson's law of money. The fatal mistake most of us make is linear thinking. We intuitively believe our cost of living is a flat line. We think, my rent is fixed, my food cost is fixed, so if my income spikes above that line, everything else is pure profit. Wrong. Dead wrong. The reality is that the second a larger paycheck hits your account, your brain's definition of necessity instantly changes to match it. 2. Lifestyle creep, the silent killer. Let's use concrete numbers to expose the math behind this trap. Consider person A versus person B, who are essentially the same person at different stages. Person A, $50,000 a year. After taxes, they take home about $3,500 a month. They drive a 10-year-old Honda Civic because that's what fits the budget. They live in a modest apartment and cook at home. At the end of the month, they have $0 left. They are broke. Person B, $150,000 a year. Person A gets a massive promotion and becomes Person B. The take-home pay is now roughly $9,000 a month. Logically, Person B should be living on the same $3,500 and saving the surplus $5,500 a month, right? But that almost never happens because of lifestyle creep. Here is the psychological progression. The car. That old Honda suddenly feels unsafe or embarrassing for an executive. You tell yourself you need reliability. You lease a BMW for $800 a month. The housing. You look at your apartment and think, I work too hard to live in this dump. You move to a luxury downtown building. Rent jumps from $1,500 to $3,500. The habits. Because you're working longer hours to justify the salary, you stop cooking. You order Uber Eats daily. You buy the $7 Starbucks coffee because your time is money. The result is your fixed costs have jumped from $3,500 to exactly $9,000. You are still saving $0. 3. The leverage trap. Why high earners are at greater risk. You might ask, how can the guy making $150K be worse off than the guy making $50K? The answer is leverage, debt. Person A, low income, cannot borrow much money even if they wanted to. Banks won't lend to them, but Person B is a bank's favorite customer. Financial institutions will happily hand Person B a massive mortgage, 2 car loans, and a credit card with a $30,000 limit. When Parkinson's law hits person B, they don't just spend their current income, they spend their future income through debt. Bloomberg reported a shocking statistic. Nearly one-third of Americans earning over $250,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. Let that sink in. These people are in the top 5% of earners in the richest country on earth, yet if they missed one paycheck, they would be insolvent. That is Parkinson's law eating them alive. 4. Psychological decoded. Why can't we just keep the Honda? We're not stupid, we know math, so why can't we maintain our old standard of living? There are two powerful psychological mechanisms at play. 1. A. The Diderot Effect, the chain reaction of consumption. This is named after French philosopher Denis Diderot. He was broke most of his life until he received a large sum of money and bought a beautiful scarlet robe. Suddenly, he noticed his old rug looked cheap next to the magnificent robe, so he replaced the rug. Then his chair looked tattered next to the new rug, so he replaced the chair. Within a year, Diderot was broke again, surrounded by fancy furniture he didn't actually need. We do the same thing. One upgrade acts as a trigger. Buying a bigger house triggers the need for new furniture, which triggers the need for a landscaping service. It's a spiral. 2. Hedonic adaptation, the happiness treadmill. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You get bored of nice things very, very fast. When you first get the BMW, you feel like a king for about 3 weeks. After that, it's just your car. It's just the metal box you sit in to get to work. Your brain resets your baseline of happiness. To get that dopamine hit again, you can't just buy another BMW. Next time, you need a Porsche. This is why you see miserable people in mansions. Their expectations have risen to meet their reality. 3. The toothpaste metaphor, mastering scarcity. How do we break a law that's hardwired into our biology? Visualize a tube of toothpaste. When the tube is new, you're reckless. You squeeze a huge glob onto the brush, letting some fall into the sink. You don't care because you have abundance. When the tube is almost empty, you turn into a structural engineer. You roll it up, flatten it against the counter, and squeeze out every microgram of paste. Why? Because the resource is scarce. Parkinson's law thrives on abundance. If you see money sitting in your checking account, your brain treats it like a full tube of toothpaste. It will find a way to waste it. The only way to win is to create artificial scarcity. The 3-step system to hack Parkinson's law. This isn't about clipping coupons, it's about structural financial engineering. Rule number 1, the invisible raise. The next time you get a raise or a bonus, pretend it never happened. If your pay bumps from $4,000 to $5,000, do not let that extra $1,000 touch your checking account. Go to HR or your bank and set up an automatic direct deposit split. Send that $1,000 directly to a brokerage or savings account that you do not look at. If you never see it, you can't spend it. You force your lifestyle to remain at the $4,000 level. You are keeping the toothpaste tube empty on purpose. Rule number 2, the 50% cap. Some might say, Bobby, I worked hard for this raise. I want to enjoy my life. Fair enough. You don't need to live like a monk. Use the 50% rule. For every extra dollar you earn, save 50 cents and spend 50 cents. If you get a $10,000 raise, $5,000 goes to lifestyle. Get the nicer car, fine. $5,000 goes to investments. This guarantees a healthy ratio. As your life gets better, your net worth gets higher. Most people choose financial suicide, 100% lifestyle, 0% net worth. 3. Define enough. This is the hardest psychological shift. You need to pick a number. You need to decide, I'm happy living on $5,000 a month. If you don't define enough, the default goal becomes more. And more is a race you can never win because there will always be someone with a bigger boat. Once you hit your enough number, every single penny above that should be used to buy freedom, assets, stocks, debt repayment. Conclusion: redefining wealth. Don't let the comments about 8% inflation distract you. If you are struggling to buy groceries, your goal is income offense, earning more. But if you're a high earner who is still broke, you need a brutal audit. Did you spend that money because groceries cost more or because you upgraded to the organic store? Did you spend it because it was necessary or because you felt you deserved a treat? Wealth is not defined by how much money you make. Wealth is defined by the gap between what you make and what you spend. You can make $500,000 a year, but if your ego requires you to spend $500,000 a year to impress people you don't like, you are broke. You are just a broke person with nice stuff. Don't let your expenses rise to meet your income. Let your expenses stay flat and let your freedom rise to meet your income.